In the vast expanse of space, the human fleet cruised through the darkness. Captain Sarah Richards stood on the bridge of the flagship, the USS Valor, watching the stars streak past. The crew was in high spirits, confident in their mission to explore new frontiers and ensure the safety of humanity. The Valor was a marvel of human engineering, with sleek silver hulls and advanced weaponry. Inside, the bridge was filled with holographic displays and the soft hum of high-tech machinery. The crew worked efficiently, each member dedicated to their role. Suddenly, the tranquility of space was shattered by the blaring of alarms. The ship rocked violently, and the lights flickered as explosions erupted outside. Captain Richards grabbed onto her console to steady herself, her eyes widening in shock. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Lieutenant Mark Davis, the ship's tactical officer, quickly scanned the readings. "Captain, we're under attack. An alien fleet has ambushed us. We're outnumbered and outgunned." Panic rippled through the bridge, but Captain Richards remained calm. "Activate defensive measures. All hands to battle stations." The crew sprang into action, their training taking over. The Valor's shields flared to life, creating a protective barrier around the ship. The human fleet formed a defensive formation, their sleek ships bristling with weaponry. Outside, the alien fleet was a menacing sight. Their ships were dark and angular, with glowing red lights that pierced the darkness. They moved with precision, their advanced weaponry launching devastating attacks on the human fleet. Captain Richards watched the battle unfold on the holographic display. She could see the human ships struggling to maintain their defenses, their shields flickering under the relentless assault. She knew they had to come up with a new strategy if they were to survive. "Lieutenant Davis, get me a visual on the alien fleet's command ship," she ordered. The display shifted, focusing on a massive alien vessel at the heart of the enemy formation. It was larger and more heavily armed than the others, its dark hull bristling with weaponry. "That's their flagship," Davis said. "If we can take it out, we might be able to disrupt their command structure." Captain Richards nodded. "Agreed, but we can't do it alone. We need the entire fleet to focus their firepower on that ship." She activated the fleet-wide communication system. "This is Captain Richards. We're going to target the enemy flagship. All ships, form up and prepare to fire on my command." The human fleet responded with a sense of unity and determination. The ships maneuvered into position, their weaponry trained on the alien flagship. The tension on the bridge was palpable as they awaited the captain's signal. "Fire," Captain Richards commanded. The human ships unleashed a barrage of laser fire and missiles, converging on the alien flagship. The enemy vessel's shields flared as it absorbed the onslaught, but the sheer firepower of the human fleet began to take its toll. Explosions erupted across the surface of the alien ship, and its movements became erratic. The coordinated attack was working, but Captain Richards knew they couldn't let up. "Maintain the pressure. Keep firing," she urged. The human fleet redoubled their efforts, their determination unwavering. The alien flagship's shields began to fail, and its hull was breached in multiple places. Captain Richards could see the enemy fleet faltering, their attacks becoming less coordinated. Just as victory seemed within reach, a new wave of alien ships emerged from the darkness, reinforcing the enemy fleet. The human fleet was once again outnumbered, and the battle raged on with renewed intensity. Captain Richards clenched her fists, refusing to give in to despair. "We need to buy ourselves some time. Lieutenant Davis, any suggestions?" Davis thought quickly. "We could use our cloaking technology to slip past their blockade. If we could get behind their lines, we might be able to disrupt their supply ships and weaken their forces." Captain Richards nodded. "It's risky, but it might be our best chance. Prepare to initiate cloaking. All ships, follow our lead." The human fleet activated their cloaking devices, their ships shimmering and fading from view. The alien fleet continued their assault, unaware of the human fleet's maneuver. As the Valor and its companions navigated through the enemy lines, the tension on the bridge was palpable. Any mistake could reveal their position and lead to their destruction. The crew worked in perfect harmony, coordinating their movements with precision. Finally, they reached the enemy supply ships, hidden among the stars. Captain Richards gave the order, and the human fleet launched a surprise attack, catching the aliens off guard. Explosions lit up the darkness as the supply ships were destroyed, and the alien fleet's coordination began to crumble. The human fleet pressed their advantage, targeting the now disoriented enemy vessels. Captain Richards watched as the tide of battle turned in their favor. The human fleet's resilience and ingenuity had defied the odds, and they emerged victorious. As the remnants of the alien fleet retreated into the darkness, Captain Richards allowed herself a moment of relief. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. She knew that humanity's survival depended on their continued unity and determination. "We did it," she said, her voice filled with pride. "But we must remain vigilant. This is only the beginning." The crew nodded in agreement, their spirits lifted by the victory. They had faced an unexpected ambush and emerged stronger for it. The human fleet continued their journey through the stars, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The alarms continued to blare, the sound echoing through the corridors of the UNS Valor. Captain Sarah Richards stood firm on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the chaotic battlefield outside. The human fleet was taking heavy damage, and the alien ships seemed relentless in their assault. "Shields at 60% and dropping," reported Lieutenant Mark Davis, his fingers flying over the controls. "We can't sustain this barrage for much longer, Captain." Captain Richards clenched her jaw. "We need to buy ourselves some time. Lieutenant, redirect all available power to the shields. Prepare to engage evasive maneuvers." The crew worked swiftly, their faces tense with determination. The Veda's engines roared to life, and the ship began to weave through the enemy fire, its sleek hull gliding gracefully through the chaos. Other human ships followed suit, their movements coordinated and precise. Outside, the alien fleet adjusted their tactics, attempting to outmaneuver the human ships. Their dark, angular vessels moved with a deadly grace, firing powerful energy blasts that rocked the human fleet. The battle was fierce, with explosions lighting up the void of space. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call from the UNS Defiant," Davis reported. "They're under heavy fire and losing power." Captain Richards' heart sunk. The Defiant was one of their most crucial ships, carrying vital supplies and reinforcements. They couldn't afford to lose it. "Patch me through," she ordered. The communication screen flickered to life, showing the face of Captain Laura Martinez, her expression strained but resolute. "Sarah, we're taking heavy damage. We need immediate assistance." "We're on our way, Laura." "Hold on," Richards replied, her voice steady. She turned to her crew. "Set a course for the Defiant. All ships provide cover fire and protect our allies." The human fleet responded with unwavering loyalty, their ships moving to form a protective barrier around the Defiant. The Valor led the charge, its weapons blazing as it intercepted the enemy fire. As they closed the distance, Captain Richards could see the damage to the Defiant's hull. Fires raged within the ship, and debris floated in the vacuum of space. But despite the dire situation, the crew of the Defiant continued to fight valiantly. "Focus your fire on those attackers," Richards commanded. "We need to give the Defiant a chance to regroup." The human ships intensified their assault, their coordinated strikes pushing the alien vessels back. The tide of battle began to shift, and for the first time there was a glimmer of hope. Inside the Valor, the tension was palpable. Crew members relayed orders and monitored the status of the battle, their faces etched with determination. They knew that every second counted, and they were prepared to give everything they had. "Captain, the Defiant's shields are stabilizing," Davis reported, a note of relief in his voice. "They're holding their own for now." Captain Richards allowed herself a brief moment of relief. "Good work, everyone. Keep up the pressure. We can't let the enemy gain the upper hand." The battle raged on, but the human fleet's resilience and ingenuity began to pay off. They adapted to the alien tactics, using their superior coordination and teamwork to outmaneuver the enemy. The once overwhelming assault began to wane as the alien ships struggled to maintain their offensive. "Captain, we're picking up a transmission from the alien flagship," Davis said, his brow furrowing. "They're ordering a retreat." Captain Richards' eyes widened. "They're pulling back? Why now?" "Unknown, Captain. But this might be our chance to regroup and plan our next move." Richards nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "Maintain defensive positions and monitor their retreat. We need to ensure they don't pull any surprises." As the alien fleet began to withdraw, the human ships held their ground, wary of any last-minute attacks. The communication lines buzzed with updates and status reports, the crew working tirelessly to secure their position. Finally, the alien ships vanished into the darkness of space, leaving the human fleet battered but victorious. The bridge of the Valor erupted in cheers, the crew celebrating their hard-earned victory. Captain Richards allowed herself a moment to breathe, her heart swelling with pride. "Well done, everyone. We survived the ambush, but we can't let our guard down. Prepare for repairs and regrouping." This battle may be over, but the war is far from won. The crew nodded in agreement, their spirits lifted by the triumph. They knew that the challenges ahead would be even greater, but they were ready to face them together. United and resilient, the human fleet continued their journey through the stars, determined to protect their home and ensure humanity's survival. The battle had taken a heavy toll on the human fleet. The ships were battered and scarred from the relentless assault, and the crew was exhausted. But Captain Sarah Richards knew that they couldn't afford to rest. They needed a new strategy to turn the tide of the conflict. In the strategy room of the UNS Valor, Captain Richards and her team gathered around a holographic display that showed the current battlefield. The room was filled with tension as they reviewed the latest data and assessed their options. Lieutenant Mark Davis, the ship's tactical officer, studied the display intently. His mind was racing with possibilities. "Captain, we need to outmaneuver the alien fleet. Their ships are faster and more agile, but we have the advantage of surprise." Captain Richards nodded. "What do you suggest, Lieutenant?" Davis took a deep breath. "We could use our cloaking technology to slip past their blockade. If we can get behind their lines, we might be able to disrupt their supply ships and weaken their forces." The room fell silent as the team considered the plan. It was risky, but it might be their best chance to gain the upper hand. "I like it," Captain Richards said finally, "but we'll need to coordinate our movements perfectly. One mistake and we'll be exposed." Commander Emily Hayes, the ship's communications officer, stepped forward. "I can synchronize our ship's movements using the fleet's advanced communication systems. We'll stay in constant contact and adjust our positions as needed." "Good," Richard said. "Let's go over the details. I want everyone to know their roles inside and out." The team spent the next few hours fine-tuning the plan. They reviewed the schematics of the alien fleet and identified key targets. They also prepared contingency plans for any potential setbacks. As the preparations continued, the crew's determination grew. They knew that their survival depended on the success of this plan. They were ready to give everything they had. When the time came, the human fleet activated their cloaking devices. The ships shimmered and faded from view, becoming nearly invisible to the naked eye. The crew held their breath as they navigated through the enemy lines, their movements synchronized with precision. The alien fleet continued their assault, unaware of the human fleet's maneuver. The Valor and its companions moved silently through the darkness, their cloaking technology rendering them undetectable. As they reached the enemy's supply ships, Captain Richards gave the order to strike. The human fleet unleashed a coordinated assault, targeting the vulnerable supply vessels. Explosions lit up the void of space as the enemy ships were destroyed. The alien fleet was caught off guard, their coordination disrupted by the loss of their supplies. The human fleet pressed their advantage, launching a series of strategic attacks on key enemy positions. Lieutenant Davis monitored the battlefield from the strategy room, his fingers flying over the controls. "Captain, their command structure is starting to falter. We need to keep up the pressure." "Understood," Richards replied. "All ships, maintain your positions and continue the assault. We're not out of this yet." The human fleet's resilience and ingenuity began to pay off. The alien ships struggled to regroup, their attacks becoming less coordinated. The tide of battle was turning in favor of the humans. As the battle raged on, the Valor's bridge was filled with a sense of hope. The crew worked tirelessly, their spirits lifted by the success of their plan. They knew that the fight was far from over, but they were determined to see it through. Captain Richards watched the battlefield on the holographic display, her eyes filled with resolve. "We can do this," she said quietly. "We come this far and we won't back down now." The crew nodded in agreement, their determination unwavering. They had faced an overwhelming enemy and emerged stronger for it. Together, they would continue to fight for their home and their future. As the stars twinkled in the vast expanse of space, the human fleet pressed on, united and resolute. They knew that the battle was not just about survival, but about proving that humanity could defy the odds and overcome any challenge. The human fleet had managed to disrupt the alien supply lines, but they were still deep behind enemy lines and far from safe. Captain Sarah Richards knew that their next move was crucial. They needed to escape undetected and regroup with the rest of the fleet. In the dimly lit corridors of the UNS Valor, the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for the next phase of their mission. The atmosphere was tense, but there was a sense of determination in the air. Captain Richards stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the holographic display that showed the alien fleet's positions. "Lieutenant Davis, how soon can we activate the cloaking devices?" Davis checked the systems. "We're almost ready, Captain. The cloaking technology is sensitive, and we need to ensure everything is perfectly calibrated." Richards nodded. "Understood. Once we're cloaked, we'll need to navigate through the enemy lines without drawing attention. Any mistakes could be fatal." Commander Emily Hayes, the communications officer, stepped forward. "I'll coordinate with the other ships, Captain. We'll move as one. I'll keep everyone updated on our status." "Good," Richards said. "Let's go over the plan one more time." The crew gathered around display, reviewing their strategy. They would activate the cloaking devices and move in a tight formation, using the cover of darkness to slip past the alien fleet. It was a risky maneuver, but it might be their best chance for survival. As the preparations continued, the crew's determination grew. They knew that their lives depended on the success of this plan, and they were ready to give it everything they had. Finally, the time came to execute the plan. The human fleet activated their cloaking devices, and the ships shimmered and faded from view, becoming nearly invisible. The crew held their breath as they navigated through the enemy lines, their movements synchronized with precision. The alien fleet continued their patrols, unaware of the human fleet's presence. The Valor and its companions moved silently through the darkness, their cloaking technology rendering them undetectable. Inside the Valor, the tension was palpable. Crew members communicated in hushed tones, their eyes fixed on their monitors as they made crucial adjustments to the cloaking devices. "Steady," Captain Richards said, her voice calm and steady. "Keep your positions and stay focused." The human ships weaved through the enemy lines, their movements careful and deliberate. The slightest mistake could reveal their position and lead to their destruction. As they navigated through the treacherous terrain, the crew's nerves were on edge. The alien fleet ships loomed ominously in the darkness, their glowing red lights casting eerie shadows. "Captain, we're approaching the outer perimeter," Davis reported. "So far, no sign of detection." Richards allowed herself a brief moment of relief. "Good, keep moving. We're almost clear." The human fleet pressed on, their cloaking technology holding strong. The stars twinkled in the vast expanse of space, a stark contrast to the danger that surrounded them. Finally, they reached the edge of the enemy's patrol zone. Captain Richards gave the order to maintain their course and continue undetected. The crew worked with unwavering focus, knowing that their mission was far from over. As they stepped past the last of the alien ships, a sense of relief washed over the crew. They had successfully navigated through the enemy lines, and their cloaked escape had bought them valuable time. "Well done, everyone," Richards said, her voice filled with pride. "We've made it through, but we can't let our guard down. We need to regroup with the rest of the fleet and prepare for the next phase." The crew nodded in agreement, their spirits lifted by their success. They knew that the challenges ahead would be even greater, but they were ready to face them together. As the human fleet continued their journey through the stars, the crew of the UNS Valor felt a renewed sense of hope. They had defied the odds and outmaneuvered the enemy. United and resilient, they pressed on, determined to protect their home and ensure humanity's survival. The human fleet had successfully navigated through the enemy lines using their cloaking technology. They had disrupted the alien supply lines and bought themselves valuable time. But Captain Sarah Richards knew that they needed to take the offensive to secure a lasting victory. The crew of the UNS Valor gathered in the strategy room, reviewing their next move. The tension was palpable, but there was a sense of determination in the air. "We've managed to weaken their supply lines," Richards said, her eyes scanning the holographic display. "But we need to hit them where it hurts." A surprise counterattack on their command ships could turn the tide in our favor. Lieutenant Mark Davis nodded in agreement. "We have the element of surprise on our side. If we can take out their command ships, we can disrupt their entire fleet's coordination." Commander Emily Hayes, the communications officer, chimed in. "I'll coordinate our ship's movements and ensure we're synchronized. We need to strike fast and hard." The team spent hours fine-tuning their plan. They identified key targets and prepared for the assault. The crew's determination grew as they realized the importance of this mission. Failure was not an option. As the human fleet prepared for the counterattack, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. The ships moved into position, their cloaking devices active and their weapons primed. Captain Richards stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. "All ships, this is Captain Richards. We're about to launch a surprise counterattack on the enemy's command ships. Maintain your positions and await my signal." The fleet's response was immediate and unified. The ships moved with precision, their cloaking technology rendering them nearly invisible. The stars twinkled in the vast expanse of space, a stark contrast to the danger that loomed. As they closed in on the alien fleet's command ships, the tension on the bridge was palpable. The crew's focus was unwavering, their movements synchronized with precision. "Targets acquired," Davis reported, his fingers flying over the controls. "Ready to engage on your command, Captain." Richards took a deep breath. "All ships, prepare to fire. On my mark. Now." The human fleet unleashed a devastating barrage of laser fire and missiles. The alien command ships were caught off guard, their shields flaring as they absorbed the onslaught. Explosions erupted across the surface of the enemy vessels, and their movements became erratic. "Keep up the pressure," Richards commanded. "We need to take them down before they can regroup." The human ships intensified their assault, their determination unwavering. The alien command ships struggled to maintain their defenses, their coordination faltering under the relentless attack. Inside the Valor, the crew worked tirelessly, their faces etched with determination. They knew that the success of this counterattack was crucial to their survival. "Captain, we've breached their shields," Davis reported. "Their command ships are vulnerable." "Good," Richards replied. "All ships, focus your fire on their critical systems. We need to disable them completely." The human fleet's coordinated assault began to take its toll. The alien command ships suffered catastrophic damage, their systems failing one by one. The enemy fleet's coordination crumbled, and their attacks became disjointed and less effective. As the battle raged on, Captain Richards watched the holographic display with a sense of pride. Her crew had executed the plan flawlessly, and their resilience and ingenuity had turned the tide of the conflict. "Captain, the enemy fleet is retreating," Davis reported. "They're falling back to regroup." Richards allowed herself a brief moment of relief. "Well done, everyone. We've achieved a decisive victory, but we can't let our guard down. Prepare for possible counterattacks and secure our position." The bridge erupted in cheers, the crew celebrating their hard-earned victory. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged stronger for it. United and resolute, they knew that their fight was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the stars twinkled in the vast expanse of space, the human fleet regrouped and prepared for the next phase of their mission. They had defied the odds and outmaneuvered the enemy. With their determination and unity, they would continue to protect their home and ensure humanity's survival. The human fleet had successfully launched a surprise counterattack, crippling the alien command ships and disrupting their coordination. But Captain Sarah Richards knew that the final confrontation was imminent. The enemy was regrouping for a last desperate assault, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. On the bridge of the UNS Valor, the atmosphere was charged with tension. The crew worked tirelessly, preparing for the impending battle. Holographic displays showed the positions of the remaining alien ships, now scattered but still a formidable threat. "Captain, the enemy fleet is regrouping," reported Lieutenant Mark Davis. "They're consolidating their forces for one last push." Captain Richards took a deep breath, her eyes filled with determination. "This is it, everyone. We need to give it everything we've got. Prepare for the final assault." Commander Emily Hayes, the communications officer, relayed orders to the fleet. "All ships, form up and prepare for engagement. This is our moment. Let's show them what we're made of." The human fleet moved into position, their sleek, silver ships forming a defensive line. The stars twinkled in the vast expanse of space, a stark contrast to the danger that loomed. As the alien fleet advanced, their dark, angular ships filled the void. Energy blasts and missiles streaked through space, lighting up the battlefield with explosions. The human fleet responded with a coordinated assault, their weapons blazing. The battle was fierce and chaotic. Ships dodged and weaved, laser fire and missiles crisscrossing in a deadly dance. The human fleet's advanced technology and teamwork allowed them to hold their own, but the enemy's sheer numbers were overwhelming. Captain Richards watched the battle unfold on the holographic display, her heart pounding. "Focus fire on their lead ships. We need to break their formation." The human ships adjusted their tactics, targeting the alien fleet's vanguard. Explosions erupted across the enemy ships, their formations starting to crumble. "Captain, we're making progress, but their flagship is still a threat," Davis reported. "We need to take it out to secure our victory." Richards nodded. "Understood. All ships, concentrate your fire on the enemy flagship. We need to disable it completely." The human fleet's weapons converged on the alien flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weaponry. The enemy ship's shields flared as it absorbed the onslaught, but the relentless assault began to take its toll. Inside the Valor, the crew worked with unwavering focus. They knew that the outcome of this battle depended on their efforts. Every second counted, and they were determined to see it through. "Captain, their shields are failing," Dagus exclaimed. "We're breaking through." Richard's eyes lit up with hope. "Keep up the pressure, we're almost there." The human fleet intensified their assault, their determination unwavering. The alien flagship's hull was breached, and explosions erupted from within. The enemy ship's movements became erratic, its systems failing one by one. As the alien flagship's destruction became inevitable, the remaining enemy ships began to falter. Their attacks became disjointed and less effective, and the human fleet pressed their advantage. "Captain, the enemy fleet is retreating," Davis reported. "They're falling back." The bridge erupted in cheers, the crew celebrating their hard-earned victory. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged stronger for it. United and resolute, they knew that their fight was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Captain Richards allowed herself a moment of relief. "Well done, everyone. We've achieved a decisive victory, but we can't let our guard down. Prepare for possible counterattacks and secure our position." The human fleet regrouped and began repairs, their spirits lifted by their triumph. They had defied the odds and outmaneuvered the enemy. With their determination and unity, they would continue to protect their home and ensure humanity's survival. As the stars twinkled in the vast expanse of space, the human fleet pressed on, united and resolute. They knew that the battle was not just about survival, but about proving that humanity could overcome any challenge and emerge victorious. With the alien fleet in full retreat, the human fleet had achieved a hard-fought victory. The crew of the UNS Valor and their allies began the process of healing and rebuilding, knowing that their efforts had secured a future for humanity. Captain Sarah Richards stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. The sense of relief and pride was palpable, but she knew that their work was far from over. Repairs needed to be made, and the fleet had to be ready for any future threats. "Damage report, Lieutenant Davis," Richards said, turning to her tactical officer. Davis scanned the readings. "We've sustained significant damage to our hull and systems, Captain. Several ships are in critical condition, but we're beginning repairs. The crew is working around the clock to get us back to full strength." Richards nodded. "Ensure that all injured crew members receive immediate medical attention. Prioritize repairs on the most critical systems, and coordinate with the other ships for resources and support." Commander Emily Hayes, the communications officer, relayed the orders to the fleet. The sense of unity and cooperation that had brought them this far continued to drive their efforts. As the repairs progressed, the fleet's leaders gathered to discuss their next steps. They knew that the battle might be over, but the war was far from won. "We need to stay vigilant," Richards said, her voice firm. "The alien fleet may have retreated, but they could regroup and return. We must be prepared for any future attacks." The leaders agreed, their faces set with determination. They reviewed their defenses and planned for contingencies, ensuring that the fleet would be ready for whatever came next. In the following days, the human fleet worked tirelessly to rebuild and strengthen their position. The engineers and technicians repaired damaged systems, while the medical teams cared for the wounded. The sense of unity and resilience that had carried them through the battle continued to inspire their efforts. Captain Richards took a moment to visit the crew members who had been injured in the conflict. She walked through the medical bay, offering words of encouragement and gratitude to those who had fought so bravely. "Your courage and dedication have made all the difference," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "You have shown the true strength of humanity, and I am proud to serve alongside you." The crew members responded with smiles and nods, their spirits lifted by their captain's words. They knew that their sacrifices had not been in vain, and that their efforts had secured a brighter future for all. As the fleet continued their journey through the stars, the crew of the UNS Valor felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. They had faced an overwhelming enemy and emerged stronger for it. United and resolute, they knew that they could overcome any challenge and protect their home. One evening, as the stars twinkled in the vast expanse of space, Captain Richards gathered with her closest allies on the observation deck. They looked out at the endless horizon, reflecting on their journey and the challenges they had overcome. "We come a long way," Richards said quietly, "but our mission is far from over. We must remain vigilant and continue to stand together. Our unity and resilience are our greatest strengths." Lieutenant Davis nodded. "We've proven that we can defy the odds and emerge victorious." As long as we stand together, there's nothing we can't achieve." Commander Hayes smiled. "The future is ours to shape. We've shown that humanity can thrive even in the face of the greatest challenges." As the crew stood together, looking out at the stars, they knew that their journey was just beginning. They had faced an unexpected ambush, launched a daring counterattack, and achieved a decisive victory. But most importantly, they had proven that humanity's spirit of unity and resilience could overcome any threat. With their hearts filled with hope and determination, the human fleet pressed on, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Guided by their unwavering commitment to each other and to their mission, they knew that they could conquer any obstacle and ensure the survival of humanity. As the stars shimmered in the vast expanse of space, the human fleet continued their journey, united and resolute. They knew that their strength lay in their unity, and that together they could defy the odds and build a brighter future for all.